Hey everybody, what's happening? This is Keeping It Real Fishing. Thanks for checking out the video. Let's talk lures. Let's talk your top 5 lures. Okay, I think maybe we've all pondered that question, whether your ultimate lure, or if someone said, hey, you can only choose 5, or you can only choose 10 lures. Imagine that, right? You can go on the water, and out of all the baits that you got, I just put some stuff here to have something in the camera's frame of view while I speak, but I have a whole lot more. Like, I know many of you do. And I know some of you are a lot more concise, and I truthfully envy you, because the bug bit me, and some years ago I started collecting lures. Have way more than I need, guys. Don't think that you need a million different things. But anyway, if someone said you can only take, 5 lures, what would they be? It's a great question, because it really comes down to brass tacks. If you're someone who does have hundreds or thousands of lures, and I think I speak for a lot of us, we go back to core lures. We go back to those things that time in and time out have worked for us. We don't use all of our lures in equal amounts, and I think I also speak for many of us when I say that we have so many lures that many of them, they hardly see the water, if at all. I know I have lures, many lures that I didn't even get in the water this year. I have too many, and I always go back to those ones that work. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you really get into fishing, the bug might bite you, and you start buying a lot of lures just because you really like them. You get sold on them as an angler. I'd be the first to say I do that. If something looks really good or has a nice design, I have an appreciation for it. I don't confuse that with, the one lure that I don't have, or the one that I see in the store is going to be the super lure that's going to, change my life fishing. Absolutely not. You have to be very realistic about what you can expect from any given new lure, unless it's some revolutionary thing that's not on the market. But anyway, this just wanted to give you a little bit of a background, guys, on what I'm talking about here with these top 5 lures. And I'm saying top 5 lures of 2013. I don't mean lures that came out in 2013. Absolutely not. They could be lures from any time frame. And the lures that I'm choosing here, you'll see that I don't think any of them are new to this year. But what they are lures that this year, if any given time, if you saw me on the water, one or more of these is consistently on one of my rods. It's just something that I'm always using because it's proven itself to be so versatile and so successful. And that's pretty much where we're going with this. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention. No, I think that's pretty much it, guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I'll show you my top 5 lures of this year. Okay.
Are you ready?
Alright everybody, first lure of the top 5 lures of 2013. Now, let me first say this. I'm going to, in each section, I'm going to pick a lure. Right, I'm going to narrow it down to a certain lure and the color that I like within that lure. But let me be clear here, because this is kind of one of the things that I'm actually very much against. I have a lot of lures put out here before me. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that have a lot more of this style of lure, who have the means to purchase as many as they like. And there's going to be those people out there who either don't have the means, they don't have the money to buy this many lures, or maybe they have the money and they simply choose not to. What I want to be clear about, because this is something that's prolific in the fishing industry, is this idea that you need so many brands, and within each brand you need the different sizes, and in those sizes you need the different colors. If lure manufacturers have their way, and they do a pretty good job at their marketing, everybody would have thousands and thousands of lures, and they kind of make you feel guilty, right? Like if you don't have it all, you're missing out. Like, well, you need that color for this condition, and you need that for this condition, and in every single conceivable condition, you need a different lure. Now, I'm not saying that all that's totally false, but what I'm saying is you can go, my opinion anyway, I can only speak for myself. I feel, over my years of fishing, that you can consolidate a lot. And frankly, I think kind of the opposite gets you in trouble. If I had twice as many, if I had like 50 or 60 lipless cranks, would I be able to truly analyze any given situation and pick the absolute perfect size, vibration, rattle for that given situation? I mean, how would I even know? How do you know what's perfect for a given situation beyond some of the obvious things, like if the water's clear or murky or etc.? So anyway, that's just my little rant, and because again, you're going to see it in subsequent sections. I am someone who is kind of a fond of lures, somewhat of a collector, I guess you could say, but I don't want you to think that you need to have a ton to be successful on the water. I feel very strongly that having a base, kind of some staple lures and some very basic colors will give you probably 90%, 95% of the effectiveness as people who have a million lures out there. Okay, again, just my opinion, but that's been my experience over the years. Okay, so that's it for the rant. Let's choose the lure. Okay, so of all these here, I do have one which I have been more successful on. And this is always a slippery slope with fishing, right? I don't want to sound like somebody who's selling this stuff like, oh, you need this one because this is so much better than all the others. I've caught fish on a lot of these, and another key factor is I have not used all these in equal time on the water. I'm not going to pretend that all these have gotten the same amount of, casts and the same amount of hours in the water. No, I think we all know what it is. If you're using a lure and you start becoming successful with it, you're going to have a reason to take it off. If I'm catching, a ton of fish on, one or two of these lures, I might still buy some in the store because I like the way they look, but am I going to fish them as much as the ones that I have had proven success on? Probably not. And so this happens to a lot of us. We end up collecting lures because we like them, but we go back to the ones that have always worked. So out of all these here, I do have a favorite though, having said all that. And it's this guy right here in the middle, the Spro Uruku Shad. I can only speculate as to why I've done better on it. I really don't know, guys. Again, I don't want to say there's some snake oil. I don't work for Spro. I mean, they would tell you, oh, it's this and this and this, and that's why it's better. I don't know. I really don't know. But again, having given a lot of these lures a fair shake on the water, having given them a lot of them time, I do catch more fish on this one. Now, I have to say, this is going to change based on where you are in the United States, or the world for that matter. So this size here is their 75 size. It's, I think, their second from largest size. I believe it's 2 3/4 inches. You can see the profile there. This color is a perch color. It's actually kind of like a ghost perch color. If you look at it in the right, I don't know if I can get here with this angle. No, not with this lighting, but in the right lighting, you can actually see right through the lure. And it's also reflective, which is kind of an interesting thing, to be reflective and also in the right light see-through. There is 1, 2, 3 rattle chambers. This one up here is kind of it's either 1 or 2 of the large like ball bearings. I think it's more for casting. These are a bunch of medium-sized balls, and these in the back are kind of like the real small ball bearings. Gives it effectively 3 different pitches. Could that be what sets it apart? I don't know. I haven't broken down the anatomy of all these others. But all I know, guys, is that this one has worked really, really well for me in this particular pattern. I've been fishing this lure now, in this size and this color. This is my 3rd year fishing it. And like I said, I've got a couple others. Like I got this Storm Rockin' Shad this year, and I really put it through its paces. And I'm not saying it's a bad lure at all, and it might be your favorite one, but it just, I wasn't really killing it on that. And on the same day, I wasn't doing so good on that. I put this on, and I did a little bit better. Right, so who knows? Who knows? Maybe had I just stuck with that for another 15 minutes, I would have got the same fish. Impossible to say, guys. But purpose of this video is just to choose 5. And so I would encourage you, if you've never tried the Spro Uruku Shad, to pick one up. They're really nice. I think they have a great finish. I think they have a pretty cool looking profile. They're not exorbitantly expensive like Mega Bass or anything like that. And reviews across the fishing boards and everything are generally very positive, and they have some really nice finishes as well. So that's it, guys. In terms of the a rattling lipless crank, I would choose this as my favorite one. But as a larger idea, I would say, kind of if you can only choose 5 lure categories, absolutely have a lipless crank. If I couldn't have this one, it wouldn't mean that I, wouldn't take another one. I would, take any one of these other ones. It's a very, very valuable search lure. the speed at which you retrieve it, the amount of vibration it gives off and everything. It's just a great search lure. It is a reaction lure because you do have to keep it at a pretty good pace, but that's one of the things, and you'll see as I go through my other lures, this is pretty much my search lure. Some people use a spinnerbait, some people use other things. I like this as a fast-paced, reaction-type bait search lure. So again, my favorite one of the ones you see in front of you there is this guy, Spro Uruku Shad. And again, this is the perch finish. Really, really nice. Alright everybody, let's go to lure number 2. Lure number 2 of top 5 is definitely going to be a chatterbait style bait or a bladed swim jig. Chatterbait, of course, being the, I guess, copyrighted or trademark named from Z-Man. A lot of people say chatterbait kind of just as a category, but that's actually the Z-Man name for their bait. Bladed swim jig, I guess, is more appropriate when you want to talk about the lure category in general. And yeah, this would definitely be one of the lures that you would see on my rod. Seldom comes off. Just a great, great overall bait. One of the things I like about it, and really what is kind of the defining factor of a lot of the lures that stay on my rods, is versatility. So in the first one was a rattle trap, and not the most versatile lure. My first lure I just reviewed there, but it is a search tool. Now this one here is we're slowing down a little bit, right? This one here is a slower bait, and in place of rattles, we're going with vibration, and we're also going with motion. And that's really what it boils down to. I used to use spinnerbaits more often, and I have a lot of spinnerbaits. I have, I don't know, 25, 30 spinnerbaits. I consider that to be a lot. And I just kind of got away from them. I've really moved towards any instance that I would use a spinnerbait. I now prefer a chatterbait. I know a lot of people love spinnerbaits, and don't get me wrong, it's a very solid and viable lure. It's not that it falls out of favor. But just for me, I've kind of gone towards these, and I seem to have done better. I just like them more. Of these here, we have a couple different brands. These up here are the Booyah brand. I forget, I think it's called the Boojig. No, I don't know what it's called. But this is the Booyah brand. These here are really nice. These are the D&M custom baits. These are the piranha swim jigs in bluegill, baby bass, and I'm not sure, some craw color. And these here are the Z-Man ones in bluegill and shad. Now, you could use any of them, guys. You know, I'm not going to suggest that one brand is better than the other. They all move damn near the same coming through the water. The blades, everybody does their own little take on the blade, but the end result is it gives off a lot of vibration and a little bit of sound as it's clanking around in there. They all do the same thing. However, if I had to pick one, I would actually, and what I do use the most often is my Z-Man. And the reason for it being, not that I necessarily feel it's better or worse than any of the others, but it's what I started with. This is a relatively new category for me. I know some people have been fishing these for years, but I made that transition from spinnerbaits to these things maybe 2 years ago is when I really started fishing these more. And this was the first one I went with. This one right here, I haven't lost it yet. Z-Man chatterbait, 3/8 ounce, bluegill color. I like this trailer here. It's a Mega Strike trailer in two-tone. But that's really what it is. I started with it, and I caught fish on it, and I had success on it. And like I alluded to for the rattle traps, you know, I'm not going to put on other things when something's working. So I have bought some others. I said, let me try a couple different brands, let me try a few different colors. But this is it. This is it. I mean, there's some lures that I have a whole lot of, like I have tons and tons of cranks, but this is it for my chatterbaits, and I'm very, very happy with this. I don't feel like I need any more sizes or colors or anything else. Like, to me, this pretty much runs the gamut. If anything, I'll just pick up backups in case I lose these. Just get the same exact thing. But yeah, guys, very, very dynamic, very versatile lure. Just great. Bladed swim jigs in general is something that if you have not fished, if you're newer to the sport, or if you just have avoided it for some reason, definitely try one on. It's a great bait, and you'd be hard pressed not to be successful on it. And for those of you out there who maybe are spinnerbait people, give it a go on a couple outings. Maybe try this instead of your spinnerbait. See if you don't like it more. I don't know what it is, but I've kind of transitioned, and I've just done better. Can't put my finger on as to why, but I just have a lot of confidence in these things now. So, yeah, lure number 2 of my top 5 would definitely be a bladed swim jig. Okay, guys, lure number 3 of my top 5 of 2013, and I'm already regretting this, but I gotta tell you, next time you place an order from Tackle Warehouse, I'm assuming you go to Tackle Warehouse because they have so much crap there. Next time you place an order, guys, just do it. Order a Black Dog Baits Shellcracker G2. You will not be disappointed. You will come back and you will send me a message or come back to this video and comment. You will catch an excellent fish on this. You will have a great day on this. You will also enjoy fishing this lure because it's so cool looking, not only out of the box but in the water. It is a pleasure in all regards to fish. It'll set you back 20 bucks. You will be, after you have your success on it, you will be happy that you paid that if you've never spent that much for a lure. And I'm not someone who generally spends a lot like that on a lure, but I love this lure. And I can't say that about a lot of lures. A lot of lures are tools, right? They may look good, but ultimately it's a tool for me to have a successful day fishing on the water. This is one of those ones that bridges that category between I actually love it as a fisherman who appreciates lure design and nice detail and good coloring and all those things that really get us to open up our wallet and bring it to the register. And it bridges the gap between being such a cool lure and being such a damn effective lure. So guys, Black Dog Baits Shellcracker G2. Let me get this out of there for focusing purposes. It's about 4 inches long. It's about an inch, it's about a 1 ounce flat in weight. And, it's not a revolutionary lure, it's a swim bait. It's a relatively compact, relatively kind of bulky and wide swim bait. So, there's a million swim baits out there. It's not creating a new category, but it's a very dynamic lure in that it's not too big. If you fish waters, if you're not, say, Texas, Florida, California, if you're not those areas with, where you can get away fishing, 8-inch or 10-inch swim baits, this is a great lure, guys, in the Northeast or more in the maybe northern Midwest. If you have some of that cooler waters, generally smaller fish, this is a nice kind of hybrid swim bait size. It has a lot of bulk and a lot of profile in the water, but the overall length is pretty short. But when you see it in the water, it really is a big meal. The kind of the wake that it creates and just the bulge, it doesn't impress the fish in terms of being an 8-inch bait, but it looks like a big, solid, healthy meal when you're reeling it in the water. It just looks like a big fat bluegill coming through the water. The action is incredible. I do wish I could show you a video, but I don't need to show you mine, guys. You're here on YouTube. Just go over to Google Black Dog Bait Shellcracker G2. The company has their own videos. I think a couple other people too. You can see how excellent the swimming action is. It's really superb. It's interesting because the design of it kind of beguiles the beautiful nature in which it swims. It looks kind of just really mechanical and these little almost twigs back there. But I'm sure all that, even though it kind of looks funny, was intentional because this thing is awesome in the water. Absolutely awesome. This color right here, you can see it's kind of see-through. This is the Ghost Bluegill color. They have it in more of a matte bluegill, as well as 2 other finishes. I think there's a crappie and something else. There is a much larger version, which is, I believe, 6 inches. It's made out of wood, and I can't speak to that one. Black Dog has an assortment of cool lures, but this thing here is just... I can't give it enough thumbs up. I really would encourage you to pull the trigger on this one, buy it, and I think you'll be so happy with with it and your experience on the water with it. So how does it fish? What does it do? Well, you see the angle of this lip. Interestingly, it's a wake bait, and it's really, really buoyant. So if you kind of keep your rod tip high and reel nice and slow, it stays high on the surface of that water, creates a big bulge as it's coming through. Because it's plastic, you're gonna have a decent amount of click and clank to it. You have the materials here, you have the hooks that are gonna be hitting, and you also have a few small rattles on the inside. So it creates a nice big disturbance coming through the water. You can reel this thing uber super slow. I mean, and what I have found is the slower the better. And I mean, you could just crawl it through the water and it'll still give you that great snaking action. Super slow, drives them nuts. But it is, like I said, it's a dynamic lure. Because this lip here is not one of those straight up and down ones, because you do have that kind of almost traditional square bill angle, when you do lower your rod tip and give it a couple quick cranks, you'll get it to go subsurface. As far as you want. You can get it down 6 inches. I believe, as per the manufacturer, you can get it down about 2 to 3 feet if you really drive it down there. Of course, because it's buoyant, upon stop reeling, it'll come back up. And that's really what I like about it, because I've used it as a dedicated wake bait, and I had a really, really great day doing that one time. And I used it in another instance, whereas the fish would not crack the surface of the water. And I think we've all kind of seen this situation, whereas they're biting, but they won't go surface. If they have to crash the surface or slurp it off the surface, you're not going to get bit. You got to bring it just below. Even if it's only, 3-4 inches below, then they'll go for it. But they won't hit a dedicated topwater. And that's what I love about this, is that you can fish it equally effective as a true topwater or as a subsurface, kind of undulating swim bait crank top lure. It's got a really, really wide lip here, and it's also really wide in this dimension. It's super strong. And again, if you check out Black Dog Bait's videos here, they really encourage you to bump it into things, and it's kind of like there are 3 things that they tell you to do. Real simple. Cover bumping, cranking, and waking. Do some combination of these 3 on any given body of water, and you're going to get bit. And you're going to get bit pretty good. My second biggest fish this year came on this lure at the very end of the year, and I just love it. I just absolutely love everything about this lure: the construction, the action, the look of it, and the performance of it. And don't take my word for it. Google it. Go on Bass Resource. Go on various fishing forums. I don't think you could find, not any bad words written about it, but I don't think you can find a review that is not exceedingly positive about this thing. Which is probably the reason that a lot of time I go on Tackle Warehouse, it is out of stock. So as I started this video off saying, I kind of regret it already, because I don't want to order another one and see it always gone. But I'd be more happy if some of you guys out there tried it out and got a really, really great fish, and if I was just able to put you onto something that maybe otherwise you didn't know about. So guys, again, you're looking at Black Dog Baits Shell Cracker 4-inch. They call it the Shell Cracker G2. See it up there, Shell Cracker G2. Definitely try this one out. Number 3 on my top 5 baits of 2013. Hey, who does not like fishing a frog? I don't think that's a rhetorical question. I mean, a frog is probably the most fun way that you could possibly catch a bass, or any other species for that matter. Just that huge topwater crushing bite is awesome. Here's my selection of frogs. I do have a couple others out there, but this is basically it. And so yeah, lure number 4 out of 5 on my top 5 of 2013. Now this is an interesting one. I love fishing a frog. A lot of the waters that I fish are really conducive to it. Some that are just so covered in pads, there's less open water than there is covered water. And a topwater lure is in a couple of places I fish pretty much the only way to fish. This and punching, and that is it. That's the only 2 things you could do. So I've had some of these for a few years. Copper's Life Target. This is a new color. Got some Paycheck Baits. It's an interesting one. This is the Lunker Hunt. Did a review on that. People seem to like that guy. But I did find one of these stood out to me this year, and it was the first year actually I started using it. My friend got it for me as a birthday present, and I thank him for that. And not only the lure, but also the color. And so of all these, I'd like to talk to you about this guy right here, Booyah Pad Crasher. And I do like it in white. Not just a Booyah Pad Crasher. I like topwater lures in white. I do have some others too. Like I said, this is not all. I do have some other white topwater lures. So what makes the Booyah Pad Crasher special? Well, in a nutshell, guys, again, it's something that I harp on a lot, but I like versatility in my lures. I like a lure that can do more than one thing on any given cast. It's not rocket science, it just makes sense. If you can present the fish different kinds of action, or use the lure in multiple ways in any given cast, you're giving yourself options. And you're making it more dynamic, which, stands to reason is going to give you a better chance to get bit. So what's nice about this one is if you look at it from front to back, you see how that has that pronounced V shape? Different than, say, pretty much anything else we take. Even if we take another Booyah, this is their poppin' frog. I think my focus is on the background, I'm sorry about that. Let's see if we can line them up. Okay. You see, this one has a pronounced V to it, this one just a little bit. If we look at something like, say, like a Copper's Life Target, compare that belly, one is more rounded, while one is very, very much like a keel of a boat. It goes down, it has a pronounced lower section to it. So what does that do? It allows you to walk the dog very, very easily. I am not a pro at it by any means, but you really don't have to you don't have to be good at all to be able to walk the dog with this thing very, very effectively. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. I really like that dynamic. So you can use it as a traditional frog. If you just have your line generally with very little slack in it and you pull it, it'll go straight. It'll just chug along the top like any other frog. If you allow that slack in your line, and then if you twitch the slack, it'll go this way. Twitch the slack again, it'll go this way. And doom to doom to doom, you walk the dog. This one, if you get good, you can almost keep it in like one space. I can make it so that I'm barely bringing it forward, and I'm more just turning it left and right, which is great. One, to drive fish crazy, primarily, but two, say you have a blow up, say a fish misses it, which happens a lot on a frog. I don't have to usher that frog away from the fish and hope that he comes after it. I could just kind of let it sit there, let it drive him crazy, let him look at it, and then just kind of just keep back and forth in it over his nose, assuming he's still there. But if he missed, odds are maybe he's going to come back for it, and you don't have to actually pull it away out of that strike zone. Keep it there and bring it back and forth. So there's a duality to this lure. Two distinct ways you can fish it. Traditional, bringing it through pads, bringing it over logs, whatever you want to do, and then keeping it almost in one spot, doing that walk the dog, which is easily achievable because of the shape of the lure. Second thing I really, really like about this one is, in my experience so far, of all the frogs you see here, it is far and away the softest frog. It compresses extremely easily. This is a very, very soft rubber. That equals better hookup ratios. It just does. Now, any frog, when you set the hook, is going to compress, right? I mean, we fish jigs with heavy weed guards, and those weed guards compress, so of course the rubber is going to compress. But it just stands to reason that if you can get one that has a very, very pliable, soft rubber, that is going to compress even easier, and that's a benefit to you. The one downside, however, is you will go through this frog because it is so soft. It will get beat up, and it will. The material is going to tear faster than on some of the competition. But I see people debate this. I don't know why there's any debate. I would much rather have a second and a third lure just to tie on when one gets beat up than miss a fish. Who knows what fish you're missing, guys? You never know when the next state record's going to come. No point in saving $2 or $3 missing a fish, as opposed to, let that lure get a little beat up, maybe, because it's softer. When it does, you just tie on another one. Okay, that's just my opinion. It's not like these lures are $40, $50. This is, I think, a $6 or $7 frog. versus a more durable one, which is 10. You know, for my $3 or $4, I want to get the hookup. I don't want to save. I don't want to save those dollars. Actually, most dollars I want to save, but in this case, I don't want to miss the fish. And the softest frog you can get, in my opinion, is the one that you want. So anyway, guys, booyah, Pad Crasher, and yeah, I was speaking about color. Try it out in white. White is a great color for topwater lures. I'm not sure why it is, but just in my experience, maybe because they don't see a lot of it, maybe because most frogs are some combination of natural colors and everything else, but a bone white frog, maybe it's just the pungency or how much it stands out in the water. Since I started using white, I had a ton of success. So if you don't have any, try white, see how it works for you. Last but not least, my #1 lure of 2013, and this also happens to be, regardless of year, my top lure selection. This is the lure that if literally someone said, you can go out in the water today and you can only bring one lure with you. That's it. Sorry, you can only take one thing. I know I would take the most dynamic thing I have, as probably would any fisherman out there. You want something that's going to do the most for you, be the most versatile, right? I have 2 other videos which go into great detail, so if you're more interested, just check it out. I got 2 other videos on these guys. What I'm referring to are these. My friends, the Kitech Swing Impact Fat, and particularly the fat ones. These are the ones I always use. They have another version which is just a Swing Impact, which is skinnier. We have them in different colors. Here's some IU mixed with white. Here's a combination. I got some black for really dingy watering at night. Here's the ones I really like, the 5.8s. I love it that they offer it in a bigger size. Got a couple of those. And I had, I don't know where it went, I had some 3.8s here too. Used the 3.8s as jig trailers. Those are pretty cool. So let's get these out of the way, and we'll just give you the brief rundown on this if you're not familiar with these. Here's a couple that are rigged. There's a 5.8 in my favorite color, that's the bluegill flash. Here's a 4.8 in the, it's called Sight Flash. It's a white with a silver into it. And for a little reference, I'll just put out a quarter. And we all know what a Senko looks like. So just for width and length comparisons, that's a 5-inch Senko there. We can, I guess, go down a little bit. There we go. Alright guys, so Kitech Swing Impact Fat, extremely versatile lure. You know, it's a fish. That's what it is. It looks like a fish in the water. You know, a lot of lures, they say that what it mimics in the water. There's no stretch in the imagination here. When this is in the water, even outside of the water, it has the general profile of a fish. It tapers down. It's a little bit bigger here. But the main thing is how it swims. It swims phenomenally. I've always been on the fence with manufacturers say like, oh, we have these ridges on the bait which displaces more water. Yeah, I'm not, I mean, does it? I mean, statistically, yes, it'll displace more water, but does that help the fish to find it? I don't know. But I have to say that there's some of the other competitors out there do not. And I don't know, this one here just has been a bombshell lure for me. I've just had so much success on it. And I have fished some of the other brands. Although I must say that at this point, these are all I buy. I'm kind of a Kitech convert fan. I preach the gospel of Kitech now, at least as far as this particular lure is concerned, the Swing Impact Fat. I don't look any further at this point. One thing I'll also note, though, I've noticed that there's about 2 or 3 other brands now that unabashedly are copying this design. I mean, not close. I mean, it's like they stole the mold that they poured the lure into, and I mean, same ridges, same hook slot, on the bottom, on the top, same diameter, same type of tail. There's a couple out there I've seen that are just absolute clones, absolute mimics of this lure right here, which at first I was like, oh man, why are they doing that? But at the same time, what's the old saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery? You know you have a good lure when other manufacturers start taking it directly. They're not even trying to put the reg on it anymore. They're not trying to say, oh, we did this and this different and that's what makes ours better. No, they're just outright copying you. That's when you know you have a winner. That's when you know you've really stumbled upon something that for whatever reason does attract more fish, which is, the old snake oil that we've always been fed, that, oh, this lure is going to catch you more fish. Every once in a while, somebody creates a lure that actually does it a little bit better than what else is out there. And you're actually looking at one of the other ones here. We all know the Senko. When this came out, it kind of took the fishing world by storm. It's so funny looking, but it is undeniable how effective this is, as evidence of the fact that pretty much everybody who makes soft plastics has a clone of this. And they don't try to deviate. I mean, a couple guys do a little bit, different things, but for the most part, they follow the formula and say, buy ours instead. The same is true with the Kitech Swing Impact Fat. It's just such a great lure that people are just outright copying it. I use it as a swim bait primarily. I pretty much use it this way like 95% of the time. Every once in a while I will use it as a swim jig, so I'll have a swim jig head with the skirt and the weed guard and everything. But most of the time I just fish it very plain, just on a wide gap swim bait hook. These are the kind that screw in. These happen to be Eagle Claws. 5/0 for the 4.8 version and a 6/0 for the 5.8 version. And I could do anything with it. In this configuration, this weight is light enough so that I can keep it on top, keep my rod tip high. I can kind of burn it across the surface. This tail will stay up, and it will do a good job churning up the water, kind of like a wake bait. But the weight is, it'll also keep the keel, it'll act as a keel, keeping it from rolling around in the water. And then after that, you just fish it on any given cast how you want to. Keep it on the top. You see something, stop the retrieve, let it go down. When this falls, it swims down. And I'm going to do a bad job representing it, but it's not like out of control. It swims down like it's alive. When you stop reeling and just let it go under its own weight, it goes down like it's like a living thing swimming downwards. It's awesome. I get so many hits when I just stop reeling and let it fall, or when I cast it to a spot and I don't even start reeling. I just, like a Senko, I just let it do its thing, let it go down. Ton of hits like that. I use that as a jig. I'll just throw it right into cover. I'll weight it up. To this, I'll add a bullet weight, and I can fish it deep. You could drag it across the bottom like a biffle bug or whatever you want to do. You can do anything with this bait, and it does it really, really well. Whether it's the profile, whether it is these ridges, who knows. The action of the tail, something about it really stands out, and this is just a really dynamic lure that if you haven't heard of, I'm sure you will hear of soon. It's been like Tackle Warehouse's top seller now for, I don't know, a year and a half, something like that. It's always in the top selling category. So, yeah guys, if you haven't tried these, definitely try this Kitech Swing Impact Fat. It is the last of my top 5 lures for 2013, and again, I can give it no higher compliment than to say, if I had to throw out every single lure that I own except for one, if someone said you can only keep one type of lure or one particular lure, what would it be? It would be this. I would throw out everything else except for this guy right here. Alright guys, hey, I really appreciate you watching. I know my videos go a long time. If you watched the whole thing, that's awesome. I hope you learned something, and I hope you found a couple lures here that if you haven't already tried on the water, that you try this coming year in 2014. And all the best, lots of success out there guys. Talk to you soon.